Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I am Judah. Let's talk about the J horror known as Best Wishes to All. Now, some places I see that this came out in 2023, and yet there are other places on the internet that say this came out in 2022. So I really do not know. Now, this movie has heavy commentary about society. And there are some movies, I kind of want to be clear about this. There are some movies out there in all genres, but definitely in horror, where I think that a movie was just made to be what it is. The literalness of the movie is all there is. But you have these people out there, these critics or these people who want to make themselves seem like deep thinkers will go out there and try to make some weird, deeper meaning about the movie, which I don't really think was the intention. A long time ago, made a short film that I entered into the Flickering Film Festival, which, by the way, got selected as best of. I'm just saying. This short film was called Lint in My Pocket. Now, the whole story is, I've been going to this music festival. My younger brother wants to come. I keep saying no, one, because I don't want to take care of him. Two, I'm not going to pay for him. So the story is, he comes to me, can I go? And I'm like, you got the money? And he's like, not really. I'm like, okay, well, that's your answer. If you don't have the money, you can't come. So he is then working to get money to come to the festival. He makes it to the festival. The movie ends with him being hungry, but he has no money once again. Okay, it's just a short, funny film. It's literal. I really went to this festival like 18 years straight in a row. My little brother really bugged me to come. I really didn't want him to go. And he finally came, and it really was, do you have the money, and him earning money to come. Some would be like, this is really a take on the evil cycle of consumerism, the struggle to have and to gain happiness through money and how fleeting it is. And then in the end, you have nothing and you have to complete the whole cycle again. Sure. If that's what you need to take away from it, that's fine. But it wasn't. It was just a funny short film about my brother trying to make money to go to a music festival. That's it. So I think a lot of movies out there are people who just want to make themselves feel like they're smart or deep thinkers, and they want to throw meaning onto things that are not there. But that doesn't mean there aren't movies out there that are trying to be allegory or something along that lines. And Best Wishes to All is clearly one of those movies. There is no getting away from the messaging in this movie. It is important, the topic, in my opinion, and it's a difficult watch. The whole gist of this movie is the idea that we, as individuals, to supply ourselves with happiness, will do just about anything, even accept and participate in the suffering of others, and we will ignore it as long as we are happy. And I see this as a big problem in modern society. I'm not sure where this movie is trying to take us. I don't know if it's supposed to make us look at ourselves and be like, oh my gosh, this is hideous. Or is it trying to be kind of like, this is life, deal with this. I do not know. But as far as an entertainment aspect goes, I'm only going to give this a movie a 6 out of 10.
ごめんね。私たち年寄りのために若い人たちが犠牲になって。
I am going to be giving spoilers. This young woman here, the movie starts off with her as a child, having dinner at her grandparents'. Her mom and dad are there. They're sitting at a table. And her grandparents ask her if she's happy. And she's just kind of like, I guess. And her grandparents are like, good. Then there's a scene of her sleeping. Her parents are asleep. She's asleep in between them. She starts hearing noises upstairs. She's trying to wake her mom up. Her mom's like, yeah, you can go to the bathroom by yourself. The little girl gets up, goes upstairs, and there's this back room, and she sees something disturbing. You can't totally see it yourself as a viewer because it's through a cracked door from a distance, but you see something weird is going on in there. And then it cuts to her waking up at the age we see here, a young adult in college. And it's played out like it was a nightmare. So you realize this is a real event that occurred as a child that is still haunting her as an adult. That's the setup for the movie. There's something weird going on in her grandparents' house. And the family is planning a trip to go visit the grandparents. She is living on her own, and she's talking to her mom and dad. She now has a much younger brother, and the parents are like, hey, we can't head out to Grandma and Grandpa's house right now because your brother has got a fever. So you just head out to Grandma and Grandpa's and we'll be there in a few days. And she's like, I feel uncomfortable there. Can you guys just hurry up? Now she gets there and, it's normal. The grandparents are in their 70s. And what's so weird, and I mean, not totally weird, but based on my age now, and I look at these people, they don't totally seem that old. My dad was in his 60s when he died. It's his upper 60s. And so they really don't seem that old to me, but it makes sense based on my age. But man, as a child, these people would seem like freaking ancient. Anyway, she goes there, and there's some oddities that are occurring. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like I'm not going to like this movie. I'm not trying to grandstand here. It's going to come off that way, but it's not meant to. For some of you, do you remember The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan? Not horrible, but I was frustrated with the way that old age was used as a horror. Now, granted, growing old, that's a horror for sure. But it almost made it feel like you should be afraid of old people. People who are going through dementia, that is hell. And I don't think we should demonize these people. I mean, we need to get these people help. And I felt like The Visit demonized. It didn't help the people who are suffering from dementia or other ailments that come from old age. And I was frustrated by that. And I was like, we shouldn't make young people afraid of old people. That's where they avoid them and leave old people to fend for themselves and have no help. They're living in their own shit because no one will go help them because they're scared. So I didn't appreciate that movie. I'm not saying it wasn't a fantastic movie. It was an okay movie. And I felt that that's where this was going. And inside I could kind of feel this subtle push against it. Like, okay, here we go again. Let's make a horror movie based off of people getting old. Let's make society scared of old people. That's good job. Hooray. Thankfully, that is not where this went. We should be afraid of old people for wholly other reasons, not just dementia. I'm kidding. That's not how it goes. But some weird stuff goes down in this movie. Weird. Let's get back to the trailer.
今は幸せ？
たみたいな子がおると迷惑ないよね。迷惑。何してんの？誰か止めてよ。止めて。この人のおかげで私たちの幸せが成り立ってるの。え
？There was some weird stuff in this movie. Blech. Seeing that woman licking that guy's foot. Sorry. It grosses me out. There's nothing particularly gory. There's nothing gory about that. God dang it. Woo. This did not have that effect on me while I was watching the movie. Let me try to help you go through the psyche. My psyche at this moment with that. This is horrible. I'm so sorry. The idea. Woo. See if I can get through this without gagging again. There's a lot of thoughts. I keep thinking about stuff being under that guy's fingernail. Like, I don't know, like shit could be under that fingernail, boogers, all kinds of nasty stuff. So that's what is making me gag right now. The idea of sucking on somebody's fingers and something coming dislodged from their fingernail. A little overreactive here, not gonna lie, but that is how it's affecting me at the moment. The first watch did not get me that way, but the second watch, as you have noticed, is really affecting me in a more extreme way. But that was a weird scene. This old lady was just sucking on this her husband, consensual. He probably enjoyed it. It was just a little weird.
誰かを救いたい的な？
じゃあ俺のことも救ってくれよ。
本当にあなたのことを思ってるの？地球上の幸せには限りがあるの。子供は子供らしく子供を演じてればいいのよ。逃げたって無駄よ。どこの世界も同じなんだから。
私はそんなことしてない。
Thanks for bearing with my gag reflex there. This is about the suffering of others. Willingly accepting the suffering of others so that we can be happy. That is fully and unquestionably what this movie is about. Now, I originally walked away from this movie thinking, wow, this was a really amazing. But in deeper and thought and sitting in silence, there are some things that don't make a lot of sense. Some things that don't really connect within regards to the broader story. As I mentioned, this girl sees something iffy in this upper room that has haunted her. She goes to visit her grandparents. Her parents are not there. She has a few days alone. She eventually asks her grandma, hey, I remember as a kid, this and that. So what's up in that back room? And their grandma goes, oh, someone lives up there. And the granddaughter's like, what? And she's like, I'm just kidding. We just keep, stuff that we really aren't using right now. It's just kind of like a storage room, no big deal. Later on, the granddaughter finds the keys to that room and at night sneaks up there and is going to open it, but is interrupted by her grandma's, what we can only assume is sleepwalking. Now, there is a lot of weirdness with her grandparents. This is where I feel the story falls apart. There are some instances in the story that they don't explain certain things, and it's okay because you're given enough just to make up a story in your head. And I know there might be some out there with, dude, you nitpick on so much stuff that you in other movies and you don't let it get away. Why is it you're okay with this? Short answer is probably because I like this movie more than the other movies I was nitpicking on. I don't know. Also, this one gives you enough to make up a story, whereas potentially the other movies that I was nitpicking on, they give you nothing. It's just some kind of weird shit you're supposed to accept for no reason whatsoever. Okay, so there's spoilers. This all hinges on happiness. They keep someone locked in that room with his eyes, mouth, and ears sewn shut because within this small community, it's either a small community, it wasn't really clear to me, either this small community or it's worldwide. I don't know. But they believe that to have happiness for themselves and their family, they have to willingly participate in the suffering of someone else. And they don't view these people as other humans. They essentially, based off of a topic brought up in the movie, view them as pigs that are born for no other reason than to be eaten. So therefore, you should not grieve it because that's their only purpose there. So this man in their eyes is just a pig that is subhuman, and only he was born to suffer so that they can have happiness. Now, if we as a society had that thrown in our face that intensely, we would question things a little more. But a lot of us refuse. Don't mind me as I get on my high horse. A lot of us refuse to acknowledge where our Nike shoes come from. I'm not a shoe guy, so I can say that and be like, I'm better than you because I don't buy Nikes. A lot of us don't care where our Apple products come from. We'll grandstand and we'll talk online about how it's so important for representation and things like that to make ourselves feel better, but we will support child labor by buying Apple products. I'm not saying this to piss anybody off. There is clearly something that I participate in that is probably being made or taking advantage of someone in some way. Any finger I'm pointing at you, I have 4 more pointing back at myself. 4. 3. Because I would point like this. So my thumb and finger are pointing at you, so I'd have 3 more pointing at me. I am not saying that I'm perfect. I say we all need to, one, either stop acting like we are holier than thou and telling other people we're better than them. We need to really recognize how we are contributing to the suffering of others just so that we can be happy, just so that we don't have to be inconvenienced, so that we can have the next iPhone. I'm not a big technology guy, but I know there's something. There has to be something that I'm participating in that is not really looked at, has some kind of shady aspect to it. There has to be. I mean, I just full well know it, knowing how the world works, that there's somebody being taken advantage of because of something that I'm purchasing. That's what this whole movie is about. Now, this granddaughter, when she figures this out, she fights it. She's like, no, I want no part in this. She tries to free this man. It ends badly. The family acts like the rest of the family is all in on it. Throughout the movie, before she realizes this guy is locked up in there, when she's talking to people, they'll be like, have their grandparents spoken to you yet? Referencing like they had something important to tell her. And she's like, no, what? Okay. And then they move on past it. She runs into a friend, an old friend that's all like, what, you didn't know? And makes fun of her. So there's this weirdness as to why does everybody else seem to know that they keep people locked in bedrooms and torture them so that their happiness can be increased. And somehow this granddaughter is the only person that doesn't know this. It's weird. There is one very shocking moment that I really enjoyed. The granddaughter is looking through a photo album and she finds a photo that has been ripped out of the album. And she looks at it and there is her grandma, her grandpa, and her dad. But standing next to her dad is her dad as a child, and standing next to her dad is another child. But this child has her face scratched out. Turns out her dad had a sister who refused to participate in this ritual. And she ran away. The family disowned her because she refused to participate in the ritual, and she ran away and is like living off grid somewhere. She finds this aunt of hers and is talking to her. Her aunt is a little loopy and she's like, it's all just not real anyway. It's all an illusion. And I can't wait for when I pass on and, these VR glasses are taken off and I get to see what real reality is. It's very weird. And the aunt's like, well, before you leave, could I get you to help me chop some firewood? This is, I really enjoy this. Some of you would be like, that's lame. So she has her out there, her niece, trying to chop some wood, and she hasn't successfully like chopped through any wood yet. And the aunt's like, well, here, try this piece. Okay, now throw all your weight in it. Oh, that's okay. Here, try this piece. And then at one point she gives her, okay, well, those aren't working. This one looks like this one will split pretty easy. And she puts it on the log and she's like, now swing as hard as you can. And as she's swinging, the aunt sticks her head under the freaking axe. I was so shocked. I was like, what the frick? And she just splits her head open. It was crazy. It was crazy. Now, this is where things get a little weird. You understand that the aunt ran away because she wanted no part in this ritual. And she's basically saying that this is all just, we're living in a simulation. So after the girl has unintentionally killed her aunt because her aunt was doing suicide by niece wood chopping. Anyway, she's in this distraught state and she goes back into her aunt's little shed and she's kind of like looking around. And then she starts noticing that written all over the walls are ones and zeros, referencing that we're in a simulation. But there's also like a curtain there. And she yanks the curtain down and there's a dead body, a shriveled up, dead, mummified body hanging from the ceiling. And its eyes and mouth and ears are sewed shut. So what does that mean? To me, my takeaway is that this woman, the aunt, refused to participate in the ritual. She ran away, but then participated in the ritual anyway. That was a bit confusing for me, what this meant within the context of what did this represent. So if anybody else has seen this movie and you have a thought on what that was supposed to mean, I would love to hear it. There are some other really weird things that go on in this movie that are also questionable as far as What is that supposed to represent when clearly this movie is so heavy in metaphor and representation? What is this supposed to mean? Does it mean we can't escape? Even when we try our hardest to escape hurting other people so we can continue to survive, we still inadvertently do it? Is that what that was supposed to mean? The aunt's attempt to isolate herself from this ritual and somehow she still participated in it? Is that what this movie is trying to say? That you just can't escape it? We're going to be hurting people somehow, no matter how hard you try? Does that mean we shouldn't try? I don't know. It's a heavy topic. I would love to hear. I don't know how much I can recommend this. Again, I give it a 6 out of 10. You know, I would love to hear somebody else give me their thoughts on this. I literally have a longing inside of me to be able to talk about this movie with people. It's very thought-provoking, despite it being very on the nose with some of its imagery. I would love to know what your thoughts are, because there are some other people in this movie that refuse to participate in this ritual, and yet they are used as doormats. They are looked upon as the pigs. Like, these people refuse to participate in the ritual, and their whole life is suffering. I need to know what you think this movie is trying to say. Is it trying to say, give up, it doesn't matter. People are going to suffer with your help or without your help, so you might as well try to make yourself happy. Because you can't make everybody else happy. Who cares if there's people in China or in other countries that are in slave labor? Who cares if children are being worked to death for pennies? As long as you're happy, because guess what? You can't do anything for them. Is that what this movie is trying to say? I don't know. Thanks for watching. If anything, I'm begging you to watch this movie on Shudder. Best wishes to all, just so that you can come back and converse with me. I would love that. I would appreciate that. Consider it a personal favor. Watch this movie, come back here and give me your thoughts. I probably didn't do a great review of this movie. Probably gave too much information, too many spoilers. I don't know. It's a weird one, guys. Please check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.